Today I'm joined by my colleague Nick, and we're going to be discussing how the Postman API platform can help address the unique challenges faced by insurance companies when it comes to ensuring that the consumers of their services have an optimal experience when interacting with their applications. The insurance industry, as I mentioned, is faced with a unique set of challenges. Whether it's auto, property, or health insurance, when there's an accident or an incident, an individual will need to file a claim. To file a claim will require interacting with your applications and systems via API. Your current API landscape may consist of hundreds or even thousands of APIs, each with a unique function such as contacting an agent, reviewing coverage, updating policy information, billing, tracking a claim, etc. Managing all these APIs from development to production can be a challenging task. Consumers of these services would hope for a smooth and satisfactory experience when filing a claim. Producers of these APIs and services want to ensure that their APIs and services are available and functioning as expected to help their consumers have an optimal experience. Among all this, as APIs are being developed, developers need to ensure quality, governance, and security protocols are being met. Having the appropriate information, artifacts, and being able to collaborate with your teams or team members as these APIs are being developed will lead to increased productivity and higher quality APIs. So what are some of the challenges faced by the insurance industry? From low productivity to poor quality to lack of governance and standardization, many of your peers are faced with having a disparate set of tools, legacy systems, inefficient processes for building, delivering, and consuming APIs. This leads to poor quality with an inconsistent customer experience and lack of governance to meet SLA, legal, and regulatory requirements. There is a better way to manage the entire API lifecycle. With the enterprise-class Postman API platform, your organization can manage the entire API lifecycle to ensure that the production of quality APIs that deliver an optimal customer experience with the appropriate governance and security requirements are being met. An effective API lifecycle helps to ensure your developers stay productive and continue developing new features and functionality instead of having to consistently fix poor quality APIs. Working with thousands of organizations and millions of developers, Postman understands the complexity involved in developing and delivering quality APIs. As a producer of APIs, you want to ensure that the process of defining, debugging, testing, documenting, monitoring, and publishing your APIs is as efficient and effective as possible. As a consumer, from discovery to learning to authenticating to making requests and integrations, you want to be able to consume these APIs as effectively and efficiently as possible. Postman can help be the single source of truth for all your APIs, eliminating duplicate work and reducing, if not eliminating, many of the problems organizations face with the complexity of tools across the API lifecycle. Postman can help streamline the process of building, delivering, and consuming APIs to help your teams be as productive as possible. When it comes to building quality APIs, being able to mock and test APIs throughout the API development lifecycle is critical. Postman can automate the process of identifying bugs earlier and faster in the API development lifecycle. Postman can help ensure API specifications are being met and that high-quality APIs that do not require unplanned changes are being produced and delivered. When it comes to governance, a major issue for insurtechs and other organizations is the lack of standardization in APIs. Postman API governance with design and validation can enforce control, visibility, and adherence to legal and regulatory requirements. The Postman platform can help meet operational SLAs and identify security issues early on in the API development lifecycle. With support for industry initiatives such as Open, Accord, and others, Postman can help organizations enforce standardization across the API lifecycle. In summary, through automation, the enterprise-class Postman API platform can help your organization improve customer satisfaction by delivering quality APIs that adhere to legal and regulatory requirements, reduce the complexity of managing the API lifecycle from standardization, design, documentation, testing, and delivery, all on a single platform. Now I'd like to turn it over to my colleague Nick for a detailed demo of the Postman API platform.
Thanks, Haroon. Let's see how Postman can help API producers and consumers deliver on a use case that will address many of those challenges that you just mentioned in the insurance industry. The use case we're going to follow here, you can see on the screen, is for a mobile claims 360 UX application that's going to make use of the Open Insurance API, Know Your Customer Verification, Pay As You Drive API, and Claims API so that the user can take a picture of a collision and actually submit that as a claim. We're going to follow the perspective of an API consumer, and we're going to start with that Open Insurance API. When I launch Postman, the landing page gives me information about the private API network and integrations I have set up, as well as links to product documentation and recent workspaces, as well as a collaboration feed amongst myself and my teammates, Matt, Haroon, Amir, and Carson, to show recent things that we've worked on. Now our user is going to go look for an Open Insurance API in the private API network. This is where we have several APIs that have been published by our team that I can make use of. For Open Insurance, the goal is to make it straightforward for insurance companies to interoperate and share information. And you can see here, as I expand out into my claim information, how quickly I can get to that first API call. Not only that, how quickly I can generate code in, for instance, C# or any other language to quickly get my client-side code to consume this API out the door, which really helps with productivity as well as quality as I'm building up my Customer 360 application. So you just saw how quickly we can find an API on the private or public API network to utilize and embrace standards such as Open Insurance or Accord. Now let's see how the developer can make use of a Claims API as well as a KYC Know Your Customer API to deliver on this mobile claims use case. We've got a couple claims APIs, including a legacy claim system that we've exposed with a REST API to enable developers to make use of that for legacy modernization to drive productivity. Now, as I invoke this API, I've got a few tests here. Not only am I getting a 200 OK response when I get all my account information, we can also see that the claim comments were populated, the schema was valid, and the status code was 200 because of the tests that we built here, considering things even like contract validation. We've also, in the spirit of legacy modernization, taken that legacy claim system and made a microservice version of it for the mobile application to consume. This is where we're going to be able to get information about a given claim or even all of our claims and use the visualizer functionality to see what the UX would actually look like and facilitate the interpretation of API responses in Postman rather than just looking at JSON output. And for our use case with the mobile claim and the picture of the accident, we can use this existing service that we had built to create a claim, add an image to a claim using multi-part, and get the images associated with that claim. So we're taking functionality that we already had for our call center and making it available on mobile for our users as well as our agents. And you can see here the image from that claim with the accident that Jerry Seinfeld conveniently submitted and had routed to Elaine Bennis. Now let's see how we can utilize the collaboration features in Postman to drive productivity. For instance, making a change to this ID verification API. I can tag my enterprise architect and say, hey, we need to add international support. And you can see here a side-by-side diff of those changes that EA made before I approve and merge this into the mainline branch. Great way to introduce not just quality control, but also governance. By making use of the Open Insurance API standards, KYC verification, and Claims API, we saw how the API consumer can respond to challenges around policyholder 360, legacy modernization, and adhering to new emerging standards in the insurance space. Now, let's look from the API producer's perspective, because Postman enables me to create a new API from an API spec here. I'm going to use Open API 3.0. This will be my mobile UX accident API. Do my semantic versioning here, and what you'll see is that I get my generated Open API spec. I might want to say I want to be able to get information about an accident as one of my resources. And really important here is that I can generate a collection, helping drive productivity by saying I'm going to generate a collection that has that auto-generated documentation, as well as, in this case, a mock service, so that I can guarantee that the resulting service that we implement matches the needs of our consumer. So in this case, I'm making that mobile UX API, make sure that it meets the needs of those coding the actual mobile app. And this is a live endpoint that team can test against. So just that quickly, I was actually able to spin up a live endpoint adhering to this API contract. There's even auto-generated documentation on this collection that we just generated from our Open API spec. So we can see the format of a response, example code, things like that, as well as having the ability to insert our own bespoke documentation using Markdown right on the root of a collection like this to really guide our users when they come in to consume this API. So that's how we can deliver this mobile claims app API. But how do we govern this entire public API and private API network? Well, that comes down to things like role-based access control, where I could say I want to manage my team and not only control user access, but control based on groups to really granularly control access as users are onboarded and offboarded for different projects. And secondly, to make sure that the APIs are performant and to take into account things like the deliverables that have been produced by our team. I have reports. So I can look at that legacy claims API and monitor things like any failed runs, the response size and response time to make sure that those are as expected, as well as the API response codes. So this is showing how beyond an individual API or collection, you can get visibility across that entire network. And when there is something that I want to drill into in more detail, perhaps one of those response codes, I can go to my functional monitoring, whereby I can see, oh, here are several examples of requests that failed for one reason or another. Oh, back here on the 11th, we had a failure because we were expecting a claims comment array that didn't come back. So I can reach out to the provider of that API within my team and have them get that API up to snuff. That's one way that we enable governance, so that ultimately all your APIs can be up and running and optimally functional for your customers. Thus, with Postman, you can increase productivity, drive quality, and enforce governance to deliver on those initiatives key in the insurance industry, like customer 360, policyholder 360 visibility, legacy modernization, and adherence to emerging standards. Postman is the API lifecycle platform for producers and consumers to enable use cases like this accident claim mobile application and seamlessly meet developers where they're already working within Postman, enabling them to publish as well as discover APIs in your API network. Thank you very much.